Welcome to Mind-Boggling Conversations, a podcast exploring autism and giving voice to the young people of Worcestershire.
So anything I did before I was 12, I was just following the trend, or I was just being cool, or I was just trying to fit in.
Okay.
And that's what many neurodivergent people do. They try and fit in, blah, blah, blah.
So that's sometimes called masking.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I forgot the name, but that's what I was doing. Yeah.
So do you feel you mask now?
I have to.
Okay.
I have to kind of do it. Like, I'm pretty sure most people have to, like, sometimes adapt.
But
the thing is, though, it's the kind of how much you have to is kind of determines. Because when people are like, I talk about it to some people, and some people are like, everyone has to do that, everyone has to adapt. I'm like, right, but tell me, if you're so wise, tell me, how often do you have to do it, and how draining is it? And she's like, oh, no, it's not trouble at all. It's just the way of life, you know. I'm like, right. Because when I do it, I almost burst into tears because of how kind of draining it is, and how kind of, I get like a headache because I've got these impulses to do, or kind of these things that are necessary for me to do to kind of keep myself, myself. And then when I don't do those things, I become very rude, and I kind of a bit more drawn back, and I don't speak to anyone. Which, by the way, I'm a very charismatic person. I love talking. Everyone knows that already by now. I love talking. So when I do these kind of masking things, I don't know to what extent.
Okay.
Very distant, and kind of, because I don't know how to. If I try to be like everyone else, I don't know how to. If I just kind of go like, well, I'm here.
Yeah.
Then I'm just a bit more kind of less tense, I guess.
So, well, you talked about it, masking being draining.
Yeah.
So, what impact does that have on you then?
It makes me feel very annoyed and unhappy.
Right.
And just being annoyed and unhappy is going to make you feel tired all the time. Because it's just, I want to bounce about and be happy and jumpy and all that.
So why do you think you are masking at school?
It just makes, makes my education easier. It doesn't make my life easier, but it makes my education easier. And I value my education. So I kind of go, right, well, in future, if I ever want to become a lawyer, at least I'll have that option, Okay. So if I just get down, stick to it and just, focus on it, or at least try to.
Yeah. Then
I'll be able to do it.
And we hear a lot, particularly from girls actually, about masking, but boys too. And they often talk about it being draining. Have you got strategies or advice around that work for you?
I think pick your situations where you mask, pick them wisely.
Right.
Because if you're doing it all the time, you don't need to do it all the time. I think advice is you don't listen to when people say oh, just do it all the time. No, that's stupid. Stupid advice. Why put yourself in that situation to make other people's life easier? It's supposed to make your life easier as well as everyone else's.
Yeah.
So for me, I used to do it 24/7 all the time. I would not stop, and then I'd get back home, and again, I'd be cruel to my family because I was just so done with everything.
Okay.
And I think choose it wisely. So speaking with teachers, definitely. I think meeting new people, you shouldn't really mask, because you don't be so kind of me. Don't kind of spring up on them and be so. If that's genuinely how you want to be, then yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
But just know that that's not necessarily the norm. That's not necessarily how people do that. That's not how people. So I feel like being aware of how you act and how people are going to respond. Yeah. That's very difficult, by the way. Trying to kind of predict how social situation. By the way, I'm telling autistic people to take social cues and know how social situation. That's not going to work. But just know that people are going to. I think like the predictableness of it is that people are going to react unpredictably. Like you're not going to be able to tell how they're going to react, and I think you've got to be prepared for kind of criticism or supportive or just kind of meh reaction to you being yourself, or kind of if you are gonna mask as well. It's a good thing, but you're not gonna get any praise for it or recognition because you're just trying to fit in, and people aren't gonna see that as like a great achievement.
Okay.
So
you say, I mean, that masking can be a good thing, and I think I understand what you mean by that. But you also said it can be really draining doing it.
Yeah, I think you've got to pick and choose. I feel like masking is just one of those situations where you have to know everything about how people are going to react, which you don't.
Yeah.
But I think as well, it's just kind of shot in the dark, you know? Do I mask? Sometimes you can regret it, and, I'm going to... And it's, you have to go back on these things as well. So if you do mask around someone, and then you realise that they like you as yourself instead of trying to kind of be neurotypical, you're like, oh, I done goofed up. I done messed up. Well, and it's just something that happened once. That happened in my old school. That happened. I was very kind of, withdrawn and blah, blah, blah. And everyone else was so chill and fun. I think back, I'm like, if I was like myself, I would have enjoyed it way more than I did. And I think there is no advice for that. That's just you can't really change that.
You've been listening to Mind-Boggling Conversations, a podcast brought to you by Worcestershire Children First.